Okay, and go.
Yep.
Wild card round. Hello, everybody. I am clearly all out of bubblegum, and this is misspelled just Sam Darnold. Um, we just finished the wild card round, and we are in the divisional round, which looks kind of how we expected so far.
You had more picks right than I did. I was going for like the underdog, and as we we'll discuss each of the matchups a little bit. Um, Going off on the first, if you want to get into the first one, that you were right on. Eagles, Packers. Um, to
Oh,
the
Philly put up their
Packers
points.
defense though, they lost two starting receivers in that game due to injury. So I mean, they the Packers tried to hang in there. The Eagles proved too much, and injuries proved too much. So I mean, there's a lot of upside to the Packers team. They're young, so I definitely expect them to be there next year.
Yeah, and nobody wants to see injuries. So
No,
especially
no. Within
especially
seven
now.
within within 7 days, they lost their top three starting receivers. Like, what is that? And then
Yeah,
to still go into someone else's house and somewhat be competitive, but it just proved too much. I mean, Jordan, I felt bad for him, but obviously the better team did win.
and that was the second Sunday game. Philly
That
won
was, yes.
22-10. Um, First game on Saturday, Chargers Texans.
So I know I picked the Chargers on this one. You picked the Texans, and
Yeah,
the Chargers got their cheeks clapped. If you will,
oh yeah,
I think that's the term that kids are using. Let me
yes,
know, 7 viewers, if that's the term. Am I using that correctly?
yes. The Texans quite literally clapped them cheeks.
Yes. Straight up.
Fucked up
Um,
right in their whale's vagina.
in San Diego,
San Diego.
San Diego.
But
I
yeah,
used to have an old
32 to
wood.
12.
I used to have an old wooden ship called
Did you
Diversity.
sink?
No, that was they didn't stand a chance. That should prove some hopefulness for the Texans going into next week's matchup. Just they handled the Chargers. It wasn't a close game. It was what was the final score? I know it was like the Texan. There was what they won by at least two possessions.
It was 32 to 12. They won by 20.
So three possessions. So it wasn't even close.
No, it got away. It got away from L.A. quite well.
Yeah. It's like the wildfires affected the Chargers.
Yes, which prayers out to
Yes, prayers not to make light of the
all
situation.
the real people that are affected by the fires in LA. Up here in Bakersfield, and thankfully it hasn't touched us, but you know,
The fire hasn't touched him, but the priest has.
hey, he said I would get closer to God.
Oh, is that what he calls his dick?
Oh no.
You look like a fat, hairier Randy Orton when you did that.
I think that was a compliment. Thank you very much.
You're gonna RKO the Batman.
I'm about and when we're done here, I'm about to RKO some tuna fish. I'll tell you that much.
Fucking A right. So again, another team, young, first year head coach Jim Harbaugh did amazing things with that Chargers team. Nothing was to be expected of that team, and they made the playoffs, which was a huge shock. If you want to think about it, three teams of the AFC West made the playoffs: the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs. To see three teams from the same division, that just speaks volumes. Um, on coaching. I'll tell so again, just like Green Bay, the Chargers will be back next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This especially with Harbaugh, who's both brothers are excellent football guys. That is something to definitely build on.
Yes,
You
for
know,
sure.
I could only imagine if I were a Chargers fan that even though you're disappointed you didn't go any further, you could say, you know what, we weren't even supposed to be here to begin with.
Right, and so just
And
having a winning record and then making the playoffs. Oop, it sensed my thumbs up. Sorry. I don't know if yours is going to do it, but mine will. Bow,
nice.
bow, bow, bow.
Oh, that's something new.
What is? For you.
Man.
iPhones.
Oh, that's why. You guys can't make a decent camera, so they give you that shit instead.
What can I say? The creator of iPhone was born anally.
With respect to Steve Jobs, I'm pretty sure he was autistic. But yeah. Second Saturday game.
We're getting off track here.
Yes. Pittsburgh at Baltimore.
I picked Pittsburgh because I was like, it's hard to beat the same team 3 times in the same season, and another team that got their cheeks clapped. It was 21-0 at the half. I mean, this game wasn't close. The score may seem like, hey, yeah, 14-28. No. I think the Ravens had well over 200 yards rushing against them. I think it was actually the number was 299. Like they just did
They held
whatever.
back.
It's like they did whatever they wanted against that team. The Steelers were not ready.
Yeah, Baltimore definitely this season, 2024 into 25.
Nacho. Hey,
They
you
had nachos, I'm
Mexican
sure.
butthead. Sit down. Or it's back to the border with you.
Oh, that's it.
Hot take.
But yeah, clearly Baltimore this season had Pittsburgh's number.
They had
And
their number. They took their
the
V
mom's
card.
number. But yeah, they started out shaky, Baltimore, but they clearly got on the right track.
And people would remember. I do recall having a comment like, if when they were 0-2, Baltimore was one of the teams where I was like, don't worry, the ship will right.
Yeah,
And they became an offensive juggernaut. So Lamar Jackson, MVP candidate, so that was yeah. So fuck Pittsburgh.
all right.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. All right, the first Sunday game, which I don't think either of us or anybody was surprised about. Denver losing to Buffalo, 31-7.
I watched that game in its entirety. Buffalo. No, the Broncos started off with the ball. 3 or 4 plays, they're in the end zone. Like it was quick, 7-0. And all I thought was, oh shit. That was my thought. It's like Buffalo did not come prepared. Because if you score that fast on a team that's that good, it usually kind of tells you some tale. Like how is it gonna go? And then obviously Buffalo adjusted, didn't, scored 31 unanswered points. But
Yeah,
mind you, the majority of those points came in the second half. They went into half 10-7. And then Buffalo just pulled away. Buffalo proved to be too much. Again, another great team with the Broncos, young. Sean Payton inherited a crappy situation with cap hell, with the Russell Wilson contract and all that. And they found their quarterback of the future. It's a young team. You got a great coach. So again, the Broncos are going to be around for a while if they can keep, if they can keep up what they were doing. They were very successful. But Buffalo's just a better team.
Yeah, the Buffalo showed how they've been dominant all year. So,
they dropped they dropped 30 on them, which the defense now, mind you, Broncos led the league in sacks. They got to Josh Allen twice. Which that offensive line of the Bills only allowed, I think the number was 13 sacks all season.
So it's like the best sack defense and the best offensive line, basically.
For Pat, yeah. And the reason why Josh Allen got sacked is because they contained him. And he wanted to run. It wasn't because nothing was open. Josh wanted to, nothing was open and he wanted to run, and they kind of, they contained him just fine. And then obviously pockets collapse.
Yeah.
So no one's Superman, but Josh,
speak for yourself.
Huh?
He said nobody's Superman. I was like, speak for yourself. I'm not saying I'm Superman, but you've never seen me and Superman in the same place at the same time.
I think if you were Superman, there's some distinctive things that would point out. First off, beard.
Maybe it's all part of my secret identity.
You think you're gonna throw on some leotards and throw on a fucking cape and take your glasses off? Like, oh look, I'm a totally different person. Listen here, fucking Steve Urkel.
Hey, who you calling Urkel? Urkel.
They tried that in the '90s. Steve Urkel and Stefan.
Yeah, two different people.
All that did, the guy lost his glasses and he thinks he's fucking hot shit. Yeah, don't go down that road, Joe. You're better than that.
No, I'm not.
Be the piece of shit that you are.
All right, third game. We both agreed on Washington and Tampa Bay, 23-20 Washington.
Yes, Washington. I would consider that an upset, regardless of record. Tampa Bay was a division winner. So, in my eyes, how I view that, at Washington going into Tampa Bay and beating them is an upset. It was a close game, probably the closest game out of all the playoffs games so far. And just the better team won. And now, going next week, I believe Washington has to play we'll talk about it next, after the last game we talk about. But Washington is I think that's the dark horse in the playoffs right now. They're a good team, they're a young team. Don't know how, it's their fans and see how long the ride lasts. They weren't expecting this. They weren't expecting a winning season. And now now they got a playoff game under their belt.
I was going to say they're probably in the same position that the Chargers are in this season, and they just happen to have had a better matchup for them, at least, and were able to pull it out by 3. And even though we're fans of the Giants and NFC East team, seeing Washington come back from where Washington has been for at least a decade, we know how it feels. And now here they are going into the division round, and
speak for yourself.
Like out of nowhere.
No, they nothing was to be expected of Washington this year. No one expected playoffs. No one expected a winning record. And they won. They came in second, 12-5. They were actually at one point in time, the division was up for grabs if they were able to beat. At one point, if they were able to win a game and Eagles lost. Like it would have flip flopped. Like that's that shows a lot for the young team. So plan on them to hang around for a while again.
All right, and the Monday night game, Minnesota versus the Rams,
27-9.
Minnesota
got their cheeks clapped.
I actually didn't write down the score, but I know that's not true.
It was 27-9.
Let me double check that.
It was 27-9.
I was working all night, so I didn't get to.
I just watched
Like it.
highlights when I this morning because I didn't watch the game either, so I caught the highlight video off the NFL app.
But Rams won.
Rams won 27-9. The Rams sacked Sam Darnold 9 times. That's why I had Jets Sam Darnold. Like I don't know what Minnesota's going to do next year. Like, we're going to go back with our rookie who tore his knee. Yeah, Sam, we like what you did. Just you never done. You just don't come through.
So, all right. So that was a wild card. Going to the divisional round. Two
Yeah,
Saturday games.
couple Saturday games.
Texas versus Kansas City.
So I already know who you're going with. I'm going to go the opposite, and I'm going the stadium collapsing, killing Taylor Swift.
Don't put that evil on me. Not because I'm a Swiftie. I don't hate Taylor Swift, but my wife is a Swiftie, and I would not hear the end of it.
So I'm going to go Texans. I think the Texans know what to expect this time around. Going against Kansas City. So, and it's not like the Chargers are a bad team. And they
No,
dropped 32 on them. So if the Texans can repeat that, the Chiefs are the only team, like one of 3 teams that didn't score over 30 points all season.
I was gonna say, coming off that big outing against the Chargers, and Kansas City hasn't been top tier Kansas City all year. It looks like they've been kind of shaky all year.
And the starters haven't taken a snap in like 2 weeks.
If anybody is going to come out and legitimately knock out Kansas City, it's going to be Houston right now. I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City pulled it out. I really don't, because it's still Kansas City. But I am going to go Texans.
Oh, me and you agree.
Like I said, after beating up on the Chargers and like you said, Kansas City, they basically haven't played for 2 weeks, which on one hand, they're well rested. They should be well rested by this point, but they don't have any game time snaps.
You're not taking those snaps. Your timing, I've seen it happen before where, your timing's off. Not saying it happens to everybody, but it'll come back to get you the worst possible time. And I would hate to be the first 15-2 team, one and done after trying to change three-peat.
Yeah, so they better have, over the last 2 weeks been practicing hard. Glad you.
Thank you. There's a cough, but I appreciate it.
Oh, I thought that was a sneeze. I wasn't sure what was going on here.
I appreciate it. The second Saturday game should be an NFC game.
Washington, Detroit, I believe.
This is where Detroit's going to win. Like, Washington is feisty. I get it, but this is where Washington's road ends. Is here. It's going to end in Detroit. Detroit didn't rest their starters. They had 1 week off, the bye week, and they're getting players back. So I'm sorry, we're getting better.
Yeah. Washington's going to put up a fight. I'd be surprised if they didn't.
No, I think they're going to put up a fight, but it's just going to prove Detroit's going to prove too much. Like, this game could get out of hand real quick, and I expect like Washington to keep it all score, 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 and then Detroit's defense starts asserting itself. I could see a 28-49 game, like where
Yeah.
Detroit's just going to pour it on.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's going to start off hot. Both teams, boom, 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 boom. After the half, I think is when we're going to see Detroit start pulling away.
That's what I'm saying. Like Washington's like, okay, we you run out of firepower eventually, right? I mean, Detroit has they took a play that wasn't supposed to happen, and they made it a play when the quarterback on one team actually stumbled and then threw the ball and it got a first down. They made it into a play. They faked falling down and had a wide open tight end for a touchdown. Like, really? Like, Detroit's
Yeah.
out there having fun. They're
Yeah.
having fun against pros. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Ultimately, you're supposed to be having fun doing this.
yeah.
Like it's football. Just go out there and have fun. But you better be fucking winning too. You know what I mean? Like, and
And Dan Campbell, he's got probably, metaphorically speaking, the biggest balls in the NFL. How his game, his play calling, his team assertiveness. Like, just Detroit's gonna punch you in the mouth and keep punching you. Like, and then if he doesn't
so
win coach of the year, there's something wrong. Like 4 years ago, this team was 3-13.
I know they're like the favorite to win the divisional winner, probably.
So, Lions.
Agreed. All right, Sunday.
Sunday.
Ravens at Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Agreed.
I think it'll be a good game. A
Oh,
rematch
definitely.
but this is where last time Buffalo played the Ravens, Buffalo was visiting. Buffalo, it's gonna be cold. Ravens, I understand it's still outside, but Washington's a bit warmer. Baltimore's a bit warmer than Buffalo, New York.
And
So
like somebody who grew up living by the water, and I've been to upstate New York, I've been to Pennsylvania. Cold is cold, but then you get the cold off the water versus the cold because there's 6 feet of snow on the ground. Like it is a cold that is like, fuck.
gets in your bones.
Yeah. So Buffalo, everybody talks about the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, but something about Baltimore is just, oh.
I did see a video last time when Buffalo played the Ravens. They were missing 7 starters. All 7 starters are back and playing in Buffalo. So if you get telling me that I mean that's huge. You're missing 7 starters. You're gonna have a bad day at football, but Buffalo got trounced by the Ravens 35-10 back in like week 4.
They're all back and healthy.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen again.
I don't think so. Josh didn't don't try, that Buffalo team did not forget what that Ravens team did to them. So that will be a great matchup, and I will be watching that game. I will have to get more beer.
And I could tell you who's definitely going to have way too much beer in their system by the end of the night. The Philadelphia fans. Rams, Philadelphia.
See, I'm going Rams.
You going Rams?
I'm going Rams. Rams are
I'm going.
healthy. They are dangerous.
You know what? I'll go Philly, Philly, dilly dilly on that one.
You suck.
You know, even if both teams are equal, we both know how shitty of a place Philadelphia is to play.
Shitty of a place. Have you ever been through the city?
Yes, I
Beautiful,
have.
beautiful city. People suck.
And that's why it's a that's why I would say it's a it gotta be a
But,
hard place
but to your
for
point,
LA
they
to come
destroyed
in.
this. They destroyed the city and they won.
Yeah. The Phillies won the World Series and they burnt the city down. Figure that one out. You would have thought you would have thought the I was gonna make a bad joke there.
Go for it. Go for it. I'm still here.
Uh, you would have thought that a young black man died. Um,
Oh.
but you would have thought that the stadium blew up,
Yeah.
and then you find out that they won, and you're like, what?
They but yeah, I'm going Rams. I think they got hot at the right time. They're healthy. Oh, my pick is the Rams against the Eagles, and then, again, it's going to be a great game.
So now that we're going into the divisional round, let me end the football talk here. Based on what we see now, we got less than a month to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Who's going to be your picks?
Buffalo Lions.
Agreed. I think we said that weeks ago. Like
I said in
we
the very beginning, like way too early, I was Lions Ravens, and I'm good because I didn't know how Buffalo was going to do, and Buffalo proved everyone wrong, and now Buffalo I think is a heavier favorited in the AFC. So, that's Reggie.
Oh yeah, I saw those. It's nice, man.
They're replicas, but they're my replicas.
Yeah, you didn't earn them. Now you got to go out there and earn them.
Yeah,
Defend them.
it fits my pinky.
You have very dainty woman-like hands.
These are size 11. Like I couldn't
And
choose the
women,
size, but I mean, they're not supposed to be worn. Me strutting around with a replica Super Bowl ring.
fuck, I would.
You were on the 2007 Giants.
No, I wasn't.
You had to be there.
We
Yeah,
lost a lot of good men
I'm the
that
one who sacked Tom Brady.
Yeah, you remember how Cruz dances? Yeah, I taught him that.
Yeah, you don't seem I like that one. Now I found these on Amazon. Just something to add to my little Giants man cave corner of my Giant stuff. So I've been wanting them for a while, and for 5 rings, I paid $60.
That's not bad.
No,
You'd be lucky. The real rings, one is not even going to be $60.
so I got 5. The one in the middle is their 2001, where they beat the Vikings 41-0, and then got trounced in the Super Bowl 35-7 by the Ravens. So this is the NFC Championship ring. We won't talk about that. We won't talk about that game.
Yeah.
How do you go from blowing somebody out to getting blown out yourself?
Yeah.
It's prison all over again. I blew you out, now blow me out.
But I'll tell you what, as just a sports fan growing up in New York, 2000 was a hell of a year.
Yankees, Mets,
Yeah,
Subway Series.
Giants in the Super Bowl. The Knicks were in the finals. Giants and now, granted, the Giants and the Knicks lost, but it was a hell of a year for sports.
It was a hell of a year for sports for New York.
Yeah. Rangers were, Buffalo was Buffalo. Yeah, the
Jets.
Islanders. I couldn't have been more happy to see them not do anything.
They're the Mets of the hockey world.
As a Rangers fan, there are two teams that I despise,
The
and both of
Islanders.
them are the Islanders.
And both of them are the Islanders. No, I definitely think their divisional matchup is going to be a good week. Hope to have another podcast next week and going over the divisional round again.
Absolutely. And get ready for the championship, the championships and then the Super Bowl. But I wanted to end this episode because I knew it was going to be a quick one, like I said before. Question going around that I saw on social media a lot. I saw on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. After Raw went on Netflix and the Hogan incident, people were putting out their Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling.
Ooh.
So it'll be 2 or 3 questions here. Who's on your Mount Rushmore? Who rounds out your top 5? And who rounds out your top 10?
Wow.
I didn't want to prepare you for it. I wanted to hear it off the cuff and your explanation why.
My Mount Rushmore, Stone Cold, Undertaker are 2 on there off the bat. Hulk Hogan for what he did for the business is up there. And geez. I'm gonna go with The Rock for my Mount Rushmore.
Austin, Taker, Rock, and Hogan.
Yeah. I think, Taker having that longevity and then the Attitude Era was huge for WWF. And then you had the Golden Age, Hulk Hogan. My top 5 wrestlers. Stone Cold's my number. Stone Cold will always be my number 1. He's probably the most popular superstar ever. Excuse me. Then I have to go with Rock, Undertaker, Triple H, and then I know you may not agree with this, but my top 5, I'm throwing John Cena as number 5. Just because he's been there for 20 years. He's done great things for the business. You may not like the guy, but you cannot disagree. You can't ignore what he did for the business. Then rounding out the 10, I had to go Hogan's my number 6. I'll throw Edge number 7. Him, and if I could have 2 at number 7, I would go Jeff Hardy too, because what those 2 did in the early 2000s. Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, those matches were amazing. Fuck. It is so hard to choose top 10, out of so many wrestlers. And I got to throw Shawn Michaels in there just because, it's Shawn Michaels. And then Ric Flair, what Nate did,
It took me a solid week to narrow it down and get it right where I want it. You know what I mean?
10, I still got one more, right? I'm like, fuck, who else do you pick? And at the end, I want to choose Eugene.
Hey.
No, Brock Lesnar. I mean, he may have been in and out of the business, but boy, did he get the push from day one. And I think that in itself changed things. And I'm not taking this is nothing against any other, you have other great wrestlers in there, but this is just that's my top 10. Like he brought more physicality. In the close 10, or close like I guess the number 11, I would go with Paul White, Big Show. You know. Now he can barely walk.
None of them could barely walk.
What about sexual chocolate, Mark Henry?
Hey, dude, I love Mark Henry.
Mark Henry loves you. He's feeling romantic like.
Oh. But yeah, like I said, for me, my top 4, and I had to, as I was thinking about guys, I was like, oof. Mm. And then I was like, off the top of the head, everybody says Hogan. But then I was thinking about it. I'm like, who did the most for the business? Not just help catapult it to where it is, but by simply being in the ring with them, you went from here to here. And if you beat them, you went from here to here.
Yeah.
Ric Flair. He does that, and the longevity of what he did. Taker, same reason, like you said. Bret Hart.
I wasn't a big Bret Hart fan. Maybe I'm biased on that.
Again, and then number 4, Randy Savage.
Ooh, brother, it's never do a Slim Jim.
And then I put Hogan at 5, round out the top 5, for the simple fact that he was the right guy, the right spot, the right time. But, and the top 4 is like, oh, it's that puppy. All those guys you get into the ring with, you're immediately better for just being there. And you lose to Undertaker, nobody's gonna friggin' bat an eye about it because it's friggin' Taker.
It's Taker.
But and this is why I put Hogan at 5. I didn't feel right putting him any lower. But when I thought of the early '90s or early '80s and the beginning of WrestleMania,
Oh crap!
I cannot see you come closer.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button.
And I was thinking about it. You have Vince, got Hogan, and you got Vince's idea for WrestleMania. You take out Vince, WrestleMania doesn't work. Never happens.
Nope. You take out
Hogan. You see, to me, there's a trifecta there. Vince, Hogan, Piper. You could take out Hogan, replace him with Piper. It would work. You take out Vince, never happens. You take out Piper. Who are you replacing Piper with?
No one could replace Piper.
I think Piper could have replaced Hogan.
Oh, easily. I mean, not in a
But
match.
it wouldn't have been as big because Hogan needed Piper. And I'm not just like regurgitating Piper's phrases like Hogan, you needed me. But
no, Piper didn't need. I completely agree. Piper didn't need Hogan. And Piper, in my remembrance, I don't think he was ever really world champion. Like, if he was, I don't recall it. I think they treated him more as like a high mid card talent. Gave him Piper's pit.
And which is a damn shame in that again,
Really?
it's hard to say because it's like you got Hogan there, who you got short of Macho Man. But at that time, it's hard to say like, oh, we're gonna take it off Hogan and put it on Piper. You know what I mean? You don't want to screw up the Golden Goose, you know,
No.
or the red and yellow goose.
Goose. Not Goose from
But
Top Gun. That Goose.
but
Spoiler
then
alert from 1990. Whatever.
but then rounding out my top 10 in not really any particular order, you know, Shawn Michaels, Sting, um, Austin, The Rock. You know, it wouldn't be a list without those guys on it. And then Bruno,
Bruno San
you know,
Martino.
it's how many other great, amazing friggin' guys have been. I wouldn't even argue putting Cena in my top 10, but
You sure? That means you have to see him to put him in your top 10.
hey, he's a little secret. I could see John Cena.
You can see John Cena. I see dead people.
So yeah,
That was an interesting question too. That was, you know,
and I'm losing you. And Joe froze.
I'm good.
All right, you're back. I was
I
like,
think
am I having a stroke?
no. Yeah, I just left the Wi-Fi. As you say, I'm now in my truck.
Yes, I see that.
But it's the Mount Rushmore. Like a lot of people, like my Mount Rushmore is different from yours. Um, this is just maybe I'm an attitude by it. That's when I got into wrestling was because of the Attitude Era. It wasn't because of I watched WWF Superstars on Saturday morning if you remember that.
Yeah.
Watching Razor Ramon come out and Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior running down the ramp, all that. And I guess I did watch it, but I was a kid. I didn't understand it. Like my favorite wrestler growing up when I was young was Razor Ramon. It wasn't Hulk Hogan. I knew who Hulk Hogan was, but Razor Ramon was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Razor Ramon. I remember when the 1-2-3 kid beat him.
Yeah. That.
Like that. Was it supposed to happen? Sure. Did you expect it to happen? No. Razor Ramon, I think, is underrated and underappreciated for what he did. Or Scott Hall, I should say, rest in peace.
Oh, yeah.
Had a great ladder match against Shawn Michaels for the IC title.
Oh, that's one. It's one of the greatest matches. One of the greatest matches, period. But one of the greatest WrestleMania matches.
Right, and I believe Shawn Michaels won that match, if I'm correct.
Yep. Razor won.
Razor won. Okay, thank you for correcting me on that. But I think he just goes like he should have had a main event push. He should have been a world champion there in WWE. He could have been the greatest heel, I think, of all time if they just let him do it. But now in my eyes, the greatest heel of all time is it's a hard toss up between Edge and Randy Orton. They both played heel so well. Now everyone has their heel moments, right? But I legitimately hated Edge for like 3 years. Took Lita away from the Hardy Boys. Like I'm like, this fucking prick.
And see, I had that feeling, and this is what led me to be the Bret Hart guy. I legitimately hated Shawn Michaels for a solid 4 years. From that barbershop scene when he threw Mario
Notice.
Jannetty through that glass till the day he retired because he lost his smile, I hated him for a solid 4 years. And I could not wait to see him leave. And now as I'm older, and yeah, Shawn Michaels, thankfully, thank God, whatever you believe in, turned his life around and he is still the showstopper. I'm like, you know what? I can't hate him anymore. You know. But Shawn Michaels in the 90s, he had openly admits it, was not a very good person.
You know, um did they screw Brett in Montreal Screwjob? Did Vince screw Brett or did Brett screw Brett? There's a question I would like to ask you. You're a Bret Hart guy, but did Brett screw Brett or did Vince screw Brett?
For forever, and I still stand by it, that Vince screwed Brett. But after watching the Netflix Vince McMahon document special, put that situation in a little bit different light, that Vince had people leave and take the belt with them. Alundra Blaze, Medusa did it. Ric Flair did it when he left WCW. He took their title with him. Now, granted, he had a $30,000 deposit on it. He wanted his money back, so he took the title. I get it. He was worried about Brett leaving with the belt. And he was trying to protect his business, his company. So I cannot blame Vince for that.
No, I can't blame. No, I mean, okay. Cop has someone pulled over in the turning lane. That's where you pull over, in the fucking turning lane. Fucking Jesus Christ! Like, I'm sorry to change the subject, but like, you pull it. Who pulls to the left hand side? Like, at that point, just finish your maneuver, pull into a parking lot, and get your ticket or suck the cop off. Move on.
But
Oh,
from what I understand from Brett's side, he wasn't opposed to losing the belt. He just didn't want to lose it to Shawn.
And he didn't want to lose it into Montreal, his home country. Now, I find that a little ironic, but I think that was timing. Brett's contract expiring. They're in Montreal for Survivor. It was that Survivor Series, if I remember correctly, where the Montreal Screwjob happened.
Yeah, I don't remember if I'm drawing a blank right now, but you might be right.
And now I've watched, the dark side of the ring of the Montreal Screwjob. I heard both sides, and I heard, exactly what you said. Like Vince said he had to protect the business and he had to do what was best for business, right? And he said if Brett was leaving the company, he wasn't going to take the belt. And that was Vince's stance on it. And being a business owner, you make tough decisions every day. And now, I think that was probably one of the toughest ones he had to make. And as you see, he didn't completely freak out when Brett spit on him. Normally, if a grown-ass man gets spit on, I'm sorry, maybe Vince is a better man than me, but if I get spit on, I'm going after somebody. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Vince knew exactly what he did. And he's like, you're right.
I at some point, he knew he deserved that.
In a sense, right? I mean, he wasn't shocked that it happened. No, was Vince playing it off? Like, oh, man, no. Vince came down to the ring. Friggin' the ref rang the bell. We know, me and you both know that Brett didn't tap. Now, and what another way to lose the match, too. Not only lose the match in front of your hometown, but lose the match to your own move.
Yeah. And you know what? And again, I can't say with the fact that they didn't have this conversation. I know me, I would have been like, all right, who else do we have on the roster that you would feel comfortable losing to? Sid's there. Hell, lose it to Davy Boy. Give Davy Boy that push. Owen. And then have them lose to Sean. At an in your house or something. You know, so that way everybody is happy. Everybody looks good. Some guy that you know deserves to push gets that little bit of elevation.
Right.
And everybody's happy. But if that had happened, we would have lost out on the historic moment of the Montreal Screwjob. Or in them talking about who to Brett to lose to. Imagine Brett walking out on Monday Nitro with the winged eagle. That would have exploded everything. It would have been like, I don't know how much it would have changed, or if wrestling could have recovered, or what. But we probably would have got the big globe a lot quicker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which, that is one of my favorite belts. The round eagle one. You like that one, the winged eagle belt.
Yeah, that was my generational title.
You know who the last one to hold that title was? Besides you taking off that.
Kevin Owens.
Before that.
Oh my God, it's Cody Rhodes.
No. Stone Cold.
Yeah, he was a transition.
Yep. He was the transition from winged eagle to the round, to the globe.
And another little trivia. This was had the longest tenure.
That title did, yep.
Started with Hogan and ended with Austin.
And at one point in time, it had a blue belt on it, I think, when Ultimate Warrior held the title.
And when Sergeant Slaughter held it, between Warrior and Slaughter had a pinkish, purplish background too. And then Sean had it was white, I believe. So it had like four leather backgrounds.
They should just bring back the hardcore title and be done with it. And what the fuck? Make it 24/7 again. That shit was amazing.
You know, you remember when Mick Foley revealed the 24/7 title?
Yeah. And I was fucking disappointed as shit.
Everybody booed. And nobody cared about it. Check out Chris Van Vliet's interview with R-Truth. He was the only one that gave a shit about. They said, do whatever the hell you want. He made it fucking entertaining.
Well, they let him do what, he did, right? I mean, he held the belt like 35 times.
Yeah.
But they made it was like we all thought that the hardcore title was coming back.
Yeah.
I know I did.
And then they gave us that.
You have Mick Foley doing a title reveal. And then it's the 24/7 title. It's like I mean, it is what it is. I'm glad they finally, did away with it because, but it was just the 24/7 title on the hardcore, the 24/7 rules on the hardcore title You never would have gotten the crash match in that little funhouse place. Molly Holly getting decked by half a door, Mighty Molly, by Christian.
Yeah.
Every Raw and SmackDown, whoever had the hardcore title, there had to be on their toes.
Yeah.
You knew something was going to happen. You didn't know what. You didn't know who was going to do it. But, then somehow Crash always wound up with the fucking title.
I think Crash won that title like 6 times on one Monday Night Raw.
It was amazing. It was entertaining. It was funny. It was. I think like Mae Young held it one time or something. Like they made it so fucking like out of this world. Like an 80-year-old held the title. Like fucking really? Mind you, she gave birth to a hand.
I'm pretty sure the hand held the title.
I remember watching that Raw and I was like, ah!
Some of the things that that attitude, the Attitude Era was again in one of those spots in time where everything lined up perfectly, right? Like it could have, and this is where like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall will always have their place in history. Because if either of them did not leave, the whole Attitude Era would have never happened. So, like, just them leaving, the curtain call, friggin' DX,
I forgot about the
Triple H
curtain
getting
call.
screwed. Like, if they didn't leave, the curtain call would have never happened. Triple H would have never got held back. Austin would have never won King of the Ring, which means we would have never got Austin 316.
Right.
Who knows even if Triple H would have been penciled in to win the King of the Ring. We would have never got the NWO.
Hey, I do remember something about the curtain call. Like, the curtain call caused Triple H not to be in the King of the Ring tournament. I think they had it slated to win in '96. They took it away as punishment and made him wait a year.
Yeah. And then Austin won, gave him that, he beat Jake Roberts. You go around saying your prayers and thumping your Bibles, and that didn't get you anywhere. Saying John 3:16, well, Austin 3:16 said I just whooped your ass.
You talk about one of the biggest pops.
Yeah.
Like that blew Austin up. Just.
And then fast forward a year or so later, Triple H is giving that interview with JR, and he's like, talk about being a student of the game. I am the game. And then, and I'm like, none of that would have happened if one of those two guys stayed in WWF.
Very well possible.
We're looking at a completely different universe. And wild, man. Wild.
Well, I appreciate this conversation, but I gotta go. I gotta call my wife.
Yeah, please do. What turned into a 30-minute episode, it turned into an hour. So
we get caught on wrestling, and it's to be expected.
Yeah. All right. So you be safe, bud.
You too.
Have a good day. And have fun at work and all 9 yards.
Yes. And get your cheeks clapped.
Always.
Always. See you, bud.
Peace.